Cobra Commander.
I need you to come to Funko to help me rule the collectible universe.
I'm on it, Cobra Commander.
Would you like to rub lotion on my back?
I'm gonna take a pass on that.
My name is Adam VOSS. I'm a traveler, an entertainer, and I'm a marketing geek on the hunt for cool brands. I've got less than 12 minutes to tell you about their story. This is 12 for 12.
3, 2, 1.
Located in Everett, Washington, Funko has been creating pop culture collectibles for over 20 years. Founded by Mike Becker in 1998, Funko was originally conceived as a small project to produce nostalgia-themed bobbleheads, like the Big Boy mascot, Tony the Tiger, and the Grinch. But over the last decade, these Funko Pops, as they're called, have attracted some serious collectors and enthusiastic fans alike. My son among them. I wanted to find out what makes Funko so special and popular, so I met with longtime CEO Brian Mariotti.
Where the fun comes from.
How did this all start for you?
It all started with me being a fan of the products that Funko made. So it was all stuff that Mike was making that was tying to what I grew up on. Speed Racer, Evel Knievel, Count Chocula, Blueberry and Frankenberry cereal, Captain Crunch, Jean Lafitte from Captain Crunch. All these wonderful, whimsical bobbleheads that I saw, I think, for the first time in like 1999. I think I was at Sparky's on City Walk in Universal and saw the figures and started collecting as many as I can. And once he started getting into the Hanna-Barbera characters, I just was over the moon with what a cool company this was. Called up Mike, struck up a friendship. We started talking about things we love, and as a typical fan, have you thought about making this? Have you thought about making this? Have you thought about
I have a suggestion
Yeah,
for you.
exactly. Just like all the fans that still do that to this day. And then we started playing golf together and hanging out together. And then one day, I think it was about 2004, he said, I think I'm bored with this. I'm done. I did what I wanted to do. I want to do something different. And I said, would you sell the company to me? And the rest is history.
How long in like the strategic thinking in your mind had you had this kind of on the horizon, like, I have an idea, this could work, I could buy this company?
I think the second he said he was ready to close it, I'm like, blurt it out. Would you sell it to me? And he's like, well, what would you know about running a toy company? I said, absolutely nothing, but I'm a fan of toys. I'll figure it out.
Funko's headquarters is an art collective and homage to all things pop culture. I sat down with art director, heavy metal junkie, and Star Wars aficionado, Rhys O'Brien, about the psychology of collecting and his love of the dark side. So what got you into collecting?
I think it was innate. I think I was born with it. I think a lot of people are.
Yeah.
The need to gather, to gather objects that make you happy around you, I think is something that you're kind of innately born with. I like to think of myself more as a curator, so it's a very personal thing. It's your big graphic t-shirt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get into a new band, you go buy that graphic t-shirt so you can tell everybody that rides your school bus, I like Metallica, right? So when you collect things, you're saying something about yourself when other people see your collection. So my very first Star Wars action figure was Darth Vader. That's what I picked out, me and my dad.
Lightsaber popped out?
Yeah, and I was sitting in a cart. I was 5 years old. And we were going by, and Dad says, hey, it's your movie. It's the little guys from your movie. And I was like, what? Like the concept of the action figure just hit me. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And he was like, do you want to pick one? I said, yeah, and I picked Darth Vader. And my dad was like, you sure? Like the bad guy? Like,
he was wearing a woman's vinyl jacket. Son.
And I was like, shut up, it's dope. So yeah, I picked Darth Vader out. And then I distinctly remember sitting in the cart in that Kmart, and I remember turning it over and seeing all 12 of the first release and going, oh, well,
There we go.
yeah, I got to do this.
So that was your first collection, Star Wars.
Absolutely my first collection. And I just finished it last year.
With all original.
All original Kenner figures.
In box.
No, loose. I'm a loose guy.
Okay, you're a loose guy. Funko definitely lets loose by celebrating fandom and nostalgia, from everything cool, hip, and mainstream to the things considered geeky and outsider. Nothing is off limits. Andrew Perlmutter started in sales, spearheading Funko's longtime partnership with Barnes & Noble. I stopped by his office to talk about the secret sauce to connecting their community of new and growing fans. Tell me about the experience of your product, because you were trying to say, listen, the fans of these will get this, and you're selling it to retailers, and they're like, I don't understand. What is that like secret sauce, that connection?
Yeah, it wasn't that way in the beginning for sure, right? Like people were like, what is this? I don't get it. That was the thing that I heard more than anything else. When I would go into a retailer and I would show them pop, their response inevitably would be, I don't get it. Why would I buy this? Why would anybody buy this? So I think that like when we were originally selling this, traditional retailers kind of looked at it as toys, right? And it's not. If you look at our demographic, our customers are 35-year-old, 50% men, 50% women, actually more women than men these days. And they're buying these things for themselves with their own money for no special occasion. So it's not like a birthday or Christmas or something like that. So that tells you a lot, right? Like, why are these people buying it? And I think that if you take a step back and you look at it, it's to connect either with other people. There's a tremendous community around the Funko brand.
What have you guys been doing all day?
Meeting really cool people from all over the place.
We throw a party every year and people come down to San Diego Comic-Con. It's called Fun Days. And people come down to this party and they sit down and they reconnect like a reunion of sorts with their, like a high school reunion, but it's, yearly or as often as they can get out there, and they connect and they trade pops and they
Reese
tell
told me that
stories.
people like fall in love and they get married and they're
People have gotten married because they've met at our events, and then sure enough, like other fanatics go to their wedding, right? Like that's so that's sort of where we've tapped into the community, and it's just a different thing. People are connecting with the products because of the fact that either it's something from their childhood, or something that they just like. Then there's the combination. So we do these food icons, right? Where we do Tony the Tiger, right? Like, if you see Tony the Tiger, you probably had, the Frosted Flakes when you were a kid, and you probably liked that icon. You saw him on TV, and maybe you just want him because it reminds you of when you were a kid and you were excited to eat your Frosted Flakes. There's a lot of that happens with the products that we make, and that's why we make so many products, and that is what differentiates us. Obviously, we don't consider ourselves a toy company, but that's what differentiates ourselves from other toy companies.
Funko is not a toy company. It's a brand that has been built on the notion that everyone is a fan of something. Their explosive growth is firmly rooted in how well they've embraced the power of licensing. So I sat down with Chief Marketing Officer Molly Hartney to learn more. Of the 1,000+ licenses that you have, how many product SKUs is that?
Sitting around the 17,000 mark.
Wow.
And that would be products from the beginning of time. So on average, we're maybe producing 100 to 150 a month.
Okay, and not all of these are active products?
Not all of them are active. Some are vaulted, which means they will never be made again.
Is there an actual vault?
So
there is, isn't there?
Is
it under the building?
It's under the building. We also put other things under the building.
What's the code?
I don't know. So if they're vaulted, they're vaulted.
They're vaulted.
They will never come back to life, which does give you an aftermarket feel or give you a prized possession feel that it's never going to come off your shelf.
When I see something that I connected with as a child, I'm like, yo, oh my God, I gotta get it. And then it's like, I gotta get it.
Well, I like Funko because it just gives me memories of Comic-Con, and I like Pez because it brings back that nostalgia of when I was younger.
So as an artist, what do you want to bring to Star Wars? What do you think about this a lot? Yeah.
Enjoyability, which sounds lame, sounds trite, but that's got to be number one. I want people, when they see the pop of their favorite character, whether like maybe from the new movies or from the prequels or from one of the animated series, when they finally get that, I want them to feel like I did when I picked up Darth Vader for the first time in a Kmart in Adrian, Michigan in 1978, right? If they don't feel like that, I kind of feel like I failed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
So enjoyability is the first thing, but also like integrity is kind of important because...
To the story, to the brand.
Not to sound corny, but like to the legacy of Star Wars, because we're adding to it. We are now a chapter in its history of Star Wars product, right? And you don't want to be looked at as the, oh, remember when they did those? Like, you don't want to be that. So the integrity to it actually keeps me up at night sometimes. Like, are we doing it justice? Are we not? I try to instill that in the team. Like, guys, this is important. Like, we literally are adding to the history of this product. You know, don't F it up. Right. You know?
Everyone is a fan of something.
Yeah.
So we make something for every fan, right? And so that really does go. Some people are sports people, right? And they could care less about comic book stuff.
Funko Field, it rolls off the tongue. Everett Sox Pops. So we're probably the only minor league team in the country that's got our mascot as a pop.
Enterprise in America.
What's your favorite thing about working with the folks at Funko?
You know, they're fun. Honestly, that my favorite thing is that they're fun. And so if they have an idea, they're excitedly sharing it, and that enthusiasm that they have is contagious.
One of the reasons we've been so successful the last 8, 9, 10 years is that pop culture's changed because there's so much content being created, and so much content being consumed. And we're the kind of the company that managed to put our surfboard right in the middle of the perfect wave of that pop culture, just pushing us along.
Well, it sounds simple and self-evident. Everybody is a fan of something. That's the genius of Funko and their 4-inch vinyl figures. It's not what they are, it's what they mean to the fans who love them, who collect, curate, trade, and sell. But for me, it's about being able to hang out with my son for the day, to share in his passion while he shares in mine, and to collect as many moments as we have together before I head off to that big web show in the sky.
That's fun.
Have you seen Dad's new hit show 12 for 12 on Amazon Prime?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Isn't it pretty amazing?
It's incredible.
How do they get so many world-class brands on the show?
I think he bribed them.